On a regular basis, I have an opportunity to recognize students as part of the Creative Guild. We recognize achievements this evening of two young middle school students who have been collaborating on a fun podcast project. Sohyeon and Sid are 8th graders at Larson. Here to recognize and tell a little bit more about their project is Mr. Butcher.
Thank you, Dr. Macheski, and good evening, Board of Education. I'm thrilled to be back for another year of Student Spotlight. We typically feature many older kids to showcase their years of hard work, but tonight I have the privilege of introducing some younger students who have an incredible journey ahead of them here in Troy. Sohyeon is now an 8th grade student from Smith Middle School who started visiting the studio about a year ago. She is a very talented artist and was the youngest student with their own art table at last year's Open Air Fest. But something else Sohyeon had been wanting to start was a podcast, but she wasn't sure who to record the podcast with. Our scene now cuts to an email where I receive an out of the blue email from Sid Suriwong, now an 8th grade student from Larson Middle School, detailing their passion for video and how they especially want to start podcasting. The next thing I know, these kids from different schools quickly became friends, started recording over the summer, and are now publishing episodes on Spotify this school year. We hope you'll listen in to their fun conversations on their show titled By the Way. So, this is why they are Student Spotlight. Art takes courage. When it's painting or video editing, you're expressing yourself as an individual. And sometimes, especially when you're younger, it can feel like you're doing this alone. Sohyeon and Sid took a risk to try something new. They each made that decision on their own, and that's what led to them working together. We recognize them tonight both for their creativity and so that everyone can see and know that here in Troy, you are never alone. With that, let's listen to a few fun clips from their podcast.
Hi, I'm Sohyeon.
And I'm Sid.
And today in this episode of By the Way, we will be talking about personalities. Have you ever wondered what your characteristics are like what your personality is? Are you an introvert, an extrovert? Do you think or feel when you're making decisions? Well, today we have Sid on our podcast.
Hello.
And he isn't very experienced on this kind of thing. So he will be answering questions to find out what his personality type is.
Yeah, I can't wait to take this test. Let's see.
Do you stay calm even underneath a lot of stress and pressure?
No.
No, not at all.
No, not at all.
Do you like debating or do you not?
Because sometimes I have these speech problems, and if I try to debate, I'll be like. And by the way, do you ever notice how TV shows and movies over the past few years consist of sequels, new themes, and other stuff? Do you think there's a pattern or trend in the entertainment industry?
Like one of the most recent movies, take Elio for example, it's become way more watered down, and it's more about acceptance of yourself rather than what Pixar used to tell and influence children about.
I feel like newer movies and TV shows and remakes, they care more about the audience
and
than the actual movie.
The movie itself.
Yes.
That's why a lot of sequels are coming out nowadays too.
Pineapple, does it belong on pizza?
Well, I don't exactly have a problem with pineapple on pizza as a person myself. It's just that
it just doesn't feel right to you.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel right to me because it kind of clashes with what pizza is. Yeah.
Well, hear me out, okay?
Okay.
Pineapple on pizza.
Yeah.
I don't think it's terrible. I don't think it's worthy of being a crime whatsoever, even though society says it is. But I feel like if the pineapple is cold on the warm pizza, it just feels equalized in a way, a sweetness and the savory. I like that combination.
Adding the pineapple on it just kind of screws up the flavor, and it confuses me sometimes. But I know that pineapple people love that taste apparently, but I don't.
I'm Sid.
And I'm Sohyeon. And thank you for joining us on this
episode of By the Way.
Bye. Bye.
By the way, Our students were a little nervous to do this tonight because they think this board is very scary. I have assured them that you are mostly friendly. So you might ask a couple questions, but before that happens, if you kids want to say a few words, the microphone is all yours.
I never actually thought that it would ever get to this point, really. I mean, I didn't even know how to start, but it all started in this little elective I had called Digital Apps 2, and my teacher noticed my creativity in one of the podcasting units and invited me to join the Creative Guild. And obviously, I said yes, because I knew this was meant to be, obviously. And a few days later, I went to the service building, saw the studio, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be perfect. But I didn't have a podcast buddy yet. A few days later, I went to the Open Air Festival held by Athens, and that's where I met Sohyeon, selling beautiful art. Like, I don't think I ever could have done that in my entire life, even though I was an art kid before. Anyways, we started podcasting over the summer, like Mr. Butcher mentioned, and it got to this point. We're releasing more episodes and coming up, and there's much more to come, so.
Right. When I started podcasting, I didn't think I was going to do it with a partner. I just thought I would bring in guests and talk to them and ask them questions and whatnot. But like by meeting him, I started expanding my horizons and I started learning more about other people's viewpoints and more about like their opinions. Like doing podcasts allowed me to like voice my own opinion on what like I'm passionate about. So, yeah.
Great. Questions for our two podcasters?
Promise we're not scary, but I'm with Sid. Pineapple on pizza is the best.
Me too. I was going to say the same thing. Who likes pineapple on their pizza? No?
By the way, what is your most interesting topic on your podcast that you done?
My favorite one is probably the MBTI one.
Yeah, I agree
What
with
is
that
it?
one. I
Could
feel
you
like
repeat
was
that?
your best podcast.
We didn't hear it.
We didn't hear what you
Oh, my favorite episode of the podcast was the one about personality types.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
I also agree with that one. I feel like that was one of our best podcasts. But the debate topics, it was very chaotic, which matches our energy. Yeah, because whenever someone mentions something, it always sparks an idea, and I start getting all hyper and stuff, mentioning all this stuff I wanted to say all along.
I noticed you were taking a deep breath. Is that a technique you learned in the podcasting world?
Yeah, I mean, I did. In the one of the podcasts,
Okay.
They did mention that like under pressure, I can't like really work well. So one of the grounding techniques I use is just to breathe and know that I'll survive. Right? Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Question, are you getting feedback from your listeners? What type of feedback? Are they giving you ideas?
Yeah, so although our podcast has just started, this is just the beginning of our journey, and we just released it on Spotify, so I actually cannot wait to hear from the listeners.
Okay.
So once we get some sort of like suggestion or constructive criticism, we'll work on it as good as we can.
Yeah, great. Great.
Is there anything that surprised you about the process of making a podcast?
I thought making a podcast was kind of easy. Like, the people online, they all just go into a room and they start talking together, and it seems so natural. But once you step in front of a microphone, you get all formal and you kind of like mess over your words instead of talking just fluidly like how you would in a conversation.
Yeah. Can you give us a hint as to what's coming next to your podcast, like topics we're ready?
Okay, so our next topic. Wait a second. No,
We haven't done
that was actually the third episode. That was like actually a preview of our next episode coming up. It was about modern debate topics, that pineapple on pizza thing. There's more, and I can't wait for you all to see like how chaotic it eventually gets. Oh, also, and there's an episode after that, just basically how we're doing. How's 8th grade? Because, we just graduated from 7th grade. Woohoo!
Yeah, it's more or less just a ramble like podcast episode.
Yeah, I'm sure
We just
some
talk
people, certain audiences would enjoy that.
Do you put a lot of thought into what topic you would be discussing in a podcast?
Yes, I mean, so like the first 3 episodes was actually like planned, but the 4th episode, It was more like a wing it. Yeah, it was like we were winging it.
Because we have to come up with like ideas and like things that we can talk about together instead of just one person just heavily does all the talking while the other one just sits there and looks around confused.
Great.
Right, I think we have a couple.
We have a couple certificates for you.
All right.
They're listed as a comedy. Yep. Got it, I'm following them.